Bhavesh,
Good morning, Ramesh sir.
good morning, Bhavesh. Can I make you as a host?
Sure, sir.
Yeah, fine.
హలో వస్తుందా అండి వాయిస్ వస్తుందా హలో
Yes, sir, we can hear you, sir.
ఓకే ఒకసారి వీడియో కూడా చెక్
తర్వాత video-
Can I be heard? This is Vikramjit Banerjee.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, we can see you and we can hear you, sir.
So I'll just now switch off the screen and switch off the microphone and wait till 9:45. What time do I join in actually?
Bhavesh?
What time do you expect? What time should I join? What would be convenient?
So 9:45 or 9:50 would be fine, sir.
Fine. Okay. Cool.
Thank you, sir.
I'll just.
Hello, sir. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Are we starting?
Yes, Vikriminda, we can see you. We'll start by 10 o'clock, exactly on 10.
Okay. So, okay, I'll get back at 10.
Yes, then. Hello.
Dr. Sarfraz Ahmed.
Yes, sir.
Good morning. When do we start?
Sir, we will start exactly at the exact 10, sir.
At 10? Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And sir, like we'll have one small video of symbiosis and then my welcome address and then your lordship address, sir.
Okay, fine. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, sir.
morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is my privilege to welcome our chief guest for the day, Honorable Justice Raghavendra Singh Chauhan, the Chief Justice, High Court for the State of Telangana. The guest of honor, Mr. Jayesh Ranjan, IAS Principal Secretary to the Government of Telangana. The special guests, Mr. Santosh Janakiram, Senior Partner, Cyril Amarchand Mangaldas, Professor Rick Klofkaski, the University of Hong Kong, Mr. Vikramjit Banerjee, Additional Solicitor General of India, and Professor Dr. Shri Krishna Deva Rao, Vice Chancellor, National Law University, Delhi. I also welcome Professor Dr. Sarfraz Ahmad Khan, Director of Symbiosis Law School, Hyderabad, Dr. Anuradha Binuri, Associate Professor and Deputy Director of Symbiosis Law School, Hyderabad, all the faculty members, non-teaching staff, students, and the class of 2025. The orientation program for the class of 2025 was conducted from the 20th of September to October 2nd, 2020. The program was an immersive induction that lasted for a total of 5 days with 2 sessions on each day. The students were familiarized with the many cells and centers and associations that Law School Hyderabad has to offer and what awaits for them when they step into the campus. There were also several workshops that were conducted both for the students as well as their parents. The students were also engaged in a number of sports, cultural, and literary activities over the course of the program. The program also included an overview into the important committees and departments of the Symbiosis Law School Hyderabad management. All the program was conducted virtually and was a success. May I now request Mr. Ramesh, our IT coordinator, to kindly play the Symbiosis International University biographic video.
This is the story of a man who dared to dream and persevere to make his dream come true. The story of one Indian who thought differently and made a huge difference to the lives of thousands of students all over the world. Dr. Majumdar, who was the rector of the boys' hostel, was spending a quiet afternoon in his quarters. All the students had left for the Diwali vacation. Only the foreign students stayed back. His attention was suddenly drawn by the sight of a girl student. She was standing under a window of the boys' hostel, secretly passing a small parcel to a boy inside. Suspecting some mischief, Dr. Majumdar went to the room to investigate. What he saw left him disturbed and distressed. The girl had gone to give some food to a Mauritian boy who was suffering from jaundice. The incidents left a deep impact on Dr. Majumdar's mind and a deeper void in his heart. He was determined to...
Symbiosis was born in 1971. It was the seed of a dream sown by its founder, Dr. Shantaram Balwant Majumdar. The dream was to create an educational institute where, in the words of Dr. Majumdar, students from all over the world would live, study, eat and play together in an atmosphere of peace and harmony and mutual respect and acceptance of the diversity of cultures, and go back as friends and ambassadors of this nation. Dr. Majumdar, himself a professor of botany, chose the name symbiosis, the word biologists use to describe a mutually beneficial relationship between two living organisms. The guiding philosophy behind the venture was Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, the world is one family. Today, the symbiosis sapling has grown into a huge tree. In 2002, symbiosis was given the status of a university. The first campus was established at Senapati Bapat Road in Pune. This is the headquarters of Symbiosis. With the 12-story high Vishnu Bhavan and the iconic statue of cartoonist R.K. Lakshman's Common Man, the campus is a landmark in the city. constituents and departments of the university are spread over several campuses in Pune. And indeed, Symbiosis has moved beyond Pune to other cities in the country as well. In the foreseeable future, Symbiosis plans to have campuses in other nations too. The university hosts thousands of students from each and every state and union territory of India, as well as international students from countries all across the world. The university has multiple faculties offering a bevy of wide-ranging programs.
The mission of Symbiosis is to promote international understanding through quality education. And we have students from different states of India as well as different parts of the world. Our thrust is not only to provide excellence in academics, but to mold personalities of these young minds who come to study with us.
Spectrum of programs offered at the university is truly wide, and it gives the student an opportunity to really take courses from each of the various disciplines, giving them an opportunity to learn across disciplines. And I think this is one of the most wonderful features of studying at Symbiosis.
The university's emphasis on research has resulted in the setting up of several support centers. The most significant effort in this direction was the setting up of the Symbiosis Community Outreach Program and Extension Activities, in short SCOPE. While the initial focus was healthcare, activities were later extended to include banking and finance, computer literacy, and legal counseling. Following the success of the SCOPE initiative, the Symbiosis Center of Healthcare launched a family doctor clinic and mobile medical unit in the Mulshi block of Pune district. Meanwhile, the university has adopted 14 villages and 9 hamlets around its lovely campus and helps villagers with health, education, sanitation, and waste management issues. The university attracts a multitude of well-known persons, leaders, celebrities, and iconic personalities as a part of Festival of Thinkers. What is less well known about symbiosis is the wealth that Mother Nature has bestowed on it. The university campus at Lovely is home to a large variety of plant species. University has already published a book on this, and now 2 geologists have published a book on the rocks of the Lovely Hills. Titled The Singing Rocks, the book puts visitors to this lush and sprawling campus in tune with the fascinating geology of the hills.
May I now request Professor Dr. Sarfraz Ahmed Khan, Director of Symbiosis Law School, Hyderabad, to kindly deliver the welcome address.
Thank you. Honorable Justice Raghavendra Singh Chauhan sir, respected Professor Dr. Sri Krishna Deva Rao sir, respected Shri Jayesh Ranjan ji, respected Mr. Vikramjit Banerjee, respected Mr. Santosh Janikaran, Professor Glovcheski, my colleague from faculty and administrations from Symbiosis Law School, Hyderabad, all parents and guardians, and all my dear students. A warm good morning to all of you. It is indeed a great honor and privilege to have Honorable Justice Raghavendra Singh Chauhan, Chief Justice of Telangana High Court. Sir, your presence is a blessing for our new students, and your guidance will be a treasure for them to preserve throughout their life. We are grateful to you, sir, for accepting our invitations to be chief guest in the valedictory functions of the inductions program. I welcome you, sir, to this program of Symbiosis Law School, Hyderabad. I would like to welcome Professor Dr. Sri Krishna Deva Rao, Vice Chancellor, to be practiced for a greater purpose. I welcome you, sir, for this program. I would like to welcome Mr. Jayesh Ranjan, IS, Principal Secretary to Government of Telangana. Dear sir, your presence today instill in young students the truest form of administrative skills and discipline imbibed in it. I welcome you, sir, for this inductions programs. I now welcome to Professor Rick Glovcheski from University of Hong Kong. Your presence today again remind me that COVID has brought people so closer to each other. May your presence today help this new batch understand the international spectrum and scope of law. I welcome you, sir, again for Symbiosis Law School, Hyderabad, and hope once this pandemic is over, some time in future, we'll get you on campus. I welcome Mr. Vikramjit Banerjee, Additional Solicitor General of India. May your presence today enlighten my students about the true sense of a court and the happiness of fighting for the underprivileged. I welcome you, sir. I now would like to welcome Mr. Santosh Janakaran, Senior Partner, Cyril Amarchand Mangaldas. May your presence today enlighten my students about the most lucrative and challenging arena of the field. May your story enlighten them about the real pros and cons of being a corporate lawyer. I welcome you to Symbiosis Law School, Hyderabad. I also welcome my colleagues, faculty members, and administrative staffs, all the parents and dear students. We welcome you all. Dear students, the most famous line I see nowadays trading on the internet is from the Netflix series Dark. I have not watched it, but I am sure you all have. The line reads as follows. The end is the beginning and the beginning is the end. Dear students, today you have reached the end of your inductions week, but you are about to begin your class next week. And within a span of 5 years, you will graduate. The cycle of end and beginning continues. Dear student, today I want to tell you again, congratulations for getting selected for Symbiosis Law School, Hyderabad and becoming part of Symbiosis family. How many of you remember the golden key which I given you during first day of your inductions program? Today I'll give you one more important key. I call it silver key of success. Silver key of success. When those who are miss the inductions programs first day, the videos are available of the inductions programs because somewhere our inductions programs clash with the CLAT examinations. So when we use the word success, it is a word that is subjected to various interpretations. When we talk about 5 years of your life here at Symbiosis, let me tell you that apart from your regular studying, you must do a lot of extracurricular and co-curricular and become an all-rounder. And along with that, I want all of you to follow a path of self-realization. I want you to learn self-love, inculcate self-confidence, improve your self-belief, take some time out and understand your self-worth. Realize that you have self-esteem, read with self-dignity, and that you are made for more. Each one of you have potential to excel. By the end of 5 years, when I will be delivering you your farewell speech, I want to see that all of you have reached the epitome of self-realizations. Let me tell you, dear students, once you do what I have asked you today, you unlock the key of success and find your potentials and desire. And I know that wherever you go and whatever you do, you will achieve success. Each individual of you have a distinct qualities and which will make you excel in the different field. So you have to, these potentials you have to use and you have to know, you have to realize. Today, dear students, I want to give you a reality check. They say success and failure are different sides of one coin called life. If you utilize my golden key of goal setting, you will reach success. But in the process, you will encounter this known as failure. When you meet failure, tell him, her a hello and thanks him, her for coming to your life. Many of you might be aspiring for ANLS Bangalore or maybe Nalsar, and then you joined Symbiosis Law School, Hyderabad. What you got, you have to realize it, and you can see that how this can helps in building your career and you can achieve your success. Dear student, it is important that you understand the concept of failing because it is part and parcel of success. And you can learn from your failure and remember, then half your job is done. Remember, out of more than 10,000 students who registered for Symbiosis, you are a small group of the students who ultimately selected. So you achieve it. You know you have succeeded today. You have passed and competed with about 10,000 plus applicants who have applied to Symbiosis Hyderabad this year. And there are a special 300 who got selected. Now, if we see this is another way, many of you wanted to study in top law university, but you have not been successful. However, today when you are seated here, you are more successful than other 9,700 students who did not get chance in this university. In brief, you succeed somewhere and you do not succeed somewhere else. But not succeeding should not make you disgraceful about yourself. All of you know Thomas Edison. He had more than 1,000 US patent to his name. However, as a young boy in school, his mind often wandered. And his teachers told him that he was too stupid to learn anything. He was eventually homeschooled by his mother. However, after his invention, he said, I have not failed. I have just found 10,000 ways that would not work. You can make mistakes, but what you are not allowed to do is forget the mistake you have made and the lessons you have learned. There is always this concept of more successful and less successful. And it is on you to decide what kind of success you want in your life. However, I promise that if you listen to what I say, you will amongst the more successful people always. I also tell you that you enter this world in times when the most pronounced word are COVID, quarantine, lockdown. I know you feel that you are losing a lot. However, I want to assure you, as Sundar Pichai said, you will prevail, as there was the batch of 1920, which graduated at the end of deadly pandemic and Spanish flu, and several other batches in different difficult circumstances. They all prevail. Remember, you will prevail because God is putting you through the fire to make you the best steel. Do you know that you are the golden jubilee batch of symbiosis? Can I see some smile? Because your name will be written in gold in the history of symbiosis. I believe you will make us feel proud. Before I leave and end my speech, I'm aware that this being a law school and of freshers orientations of the law students, I have not spoken anything about this subject. I also don't intend to, because I know for next 5 years you will be only learning that. But being the director of this esteemed institution, I want to take this opportunity to give you one of your first law lesson. Never forget this lesson, irrespective of whatever career path you choose. Look at this small video. IT personnel, can you run the video? Okay, sorry for glitches in the videos. It's all about the words or language which a person used. So earlier, when the person was showing, he has written that I am blind, but later on a lady came and she just written, "It's a beautiful day," and I can't see. Uh, Now, this use of language, use of word in your life, and particularly in law professions, that make lots of differences. As a law students, we must know what words we will use, which word will be appropriate. Even single word make lots of differences in the cases. I hope my message is loud and clear. Being a lawyer, it is a noble profession. In law, it is not what you tell the judge. Once you enter the learning exercise, you will understand there are many laws, and further, there are many exceptions to these laws. Thus, if you want to protect your client, the way you present your case and the word that you use in communications, the fact and issue to the judge is particularly important. That makes lots of differences. So thank you all. Have a wonderful half-decade journey with Symbiosis Law School, Hyderabad. Once again, I thank you all, and I welcome all my guests, including Honorable Chief Justice and all other resource persons, all the persons, guests who agreed to interact with you. So thank you. Thank you. Over to host.
Thank you, sir. I take this time to introduce our chief guest for the day, Honorable Justice Raghavendra Singh Chauhan, the Chief Justice, High Court for the State of Telangana. Justice R.S. Chauhan was born on December 24, 1959. He attended Cheltenham High School, then graduated from Arcadia University, Glenside, Pennsylvania in the year 1980, after which he obtained an LLB degree from Delhi University in 1983. Justice Chauhan started his career as an advocate on 13th November 1983 in the Rajasthan High Court. His field of specialization is in criminal, constitutional, and service matters. He was appointed as an additional judge of the Rajasthan High Court in June of 2005. He was promoted as permanent judge in January of 2008. Justice Chauhan has been a panel lawyer for the Western Railways, the National Insurance Company, Central Excise and Customs Department, Directorate of Revenue Enforcement, New Delhi, the Income Tax Department, United India Insurance Company, the Department of Stamp and Registration, Rajasthan, Rajasthan Agricultural Marketing Board, the Jaipur Development Registration, the Jaipur Development Authority for Rajasthan High Court, and the Rajasthan State Roadways Transport Corporation. Justice Chauhan has also published and presented papers at various prestigious conferences, a number of assignments and other articles frequently published in law journals and the Times of India, Jaipur. Justice Chauhan was also the editor-in-chief for the Rajasthan criminal cases between the years 1994 and 96, and a member of the editorial board between 96 to 2004. Justice Chauhan is also a member of the Rajasthan High Court Legal Services Committee, member of Permanent Committee on Shishugraha, Balikagraha, Kishorgraha, Center for Rehabilitation of Mentally Challenged Women and Boys, a committee that was formed by the Honorable High Court. He was also a member of the Board of Directors, Partners in Law, a think tank organized by the Swedish Embassy to provide legal advice to non-governmental organizations involved in social work in India. He was the General Secretary, the Indian Association of Lawyers, Jaipur chapter, a life member, the Indian Law Institute, New Delhi, and a legal advisor to the Rajasthan Women's Commission. Justice Chauhan was then transferred as a judge of Karnataka High Court in March of 2015, following which he was transferred as judge of Telangana High Court on 8th November 2018. He was then appointed as acting Chief Justice of the Telangana High Court in April of 2019, following which in June 2019, he was appointed as Chief Justice of Telangana High Court. Thank you, sir, for gracing us with your presence. It is an absolute honor to have you here with us. May I now request Justice Chauhan to kindly address the gathering.
Dr. Sarfraz Ahmed Khan, the Director of the Symbiosis Law School, Mr. Jayesh Ranjan, the Principal Secretary to the Government of Telangana, Mr. Santosh Janki Ram, the Senior Partner, Sir L. Amarchand Mangaldas, Professor Rick Lofchesky of the University of Hong Kong, Mr. Vikramjit Banerjee, the Additional Solicitor General of India, Professor Dr. Sri Krishna Dev Rao, the Vice Chancellor of the Orissa National Law University, Dr. Anuradh Binuri, Associate Professor and Deputy Director of Symbiosis Law School, the learned academic staff, and Most importantly, the students of the batch of 2020, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a pleasure to address the young students, the future of our country, and indeed of the world. It is also fascinating to know their concerns and interests, and hopefully to give us a chance to transmit our thoughts, and certainly with the giving the benefit of doubt to our older generation, our ability to transfer some of our wisdom and vision for the future. I'm certainly grateful to the Symbiosis Law College for giving me an opportunity to interact with the first year students as they step into the corridor of this college. First of all, I'd like to congratulate all the young students, young men and young ladies, for having achieved a goal that they set up for themselves in their lives. This is a singular achievement which has made not only your family proud of you, but I'm sure has added a extra confidence in yourself and has improved your self-image. Welcome to a new family, a family of new friends, new teachers of an international university in India. I know these are very difficult times through which we are going through. In fact, the entire world is passing through a terrible storm called pandemic COVID-19. But this is not a reason to become disappointed or become pessimistic in our lives. In fact, if you read books like Abundance, which talk about a new world, a world of optimism, it is a world which is more peaceful, more developed, more advanced, has better lifestyle, as we have longer life thanks to that achievements and advancements made in the medical field. It is a world where we have gone not only beyond our universe, but we have penetrated and some would say invaded the galaxies. It is a world where we talk about the achievements of the human race, of the human mind. Therefore, we always be optimistic. This world is not as bad as we would like to believe. And let me remind you of one thing that you would come across in the pages of history. If you read the Babylonian tablets, which was discovered and which relates to about 5,000 years back, it is very interesting that the Babylonian tablet tells us the young boys and girls of their generation no longer listen to their parents. Parents are neglected by the sons and the daughters. Society is in turmoil as there is no law and there is no order. The ministers who are the advisors of the king are all corrupt. The king is blind, dark are the days. So he speaks a highly pessimistic tablet of the Babylonian civilization. And yet, let me also remind you and ourselves, the human race has survived at least 1 lakh years of its development, 5,000 of years of which are the written history. Therefore, let us not be pessimistic, but be optimistic as we step into a new phase of our lives. I'm sure some of you still may be doubting your decision, whether it was a valid decision, whether it was the right decision to enter the field of law or not. Let me assure you, you have taken the best decision of your life. You have entered into a course of study which will take you to different arenas, to different areas of human knowledge. It will take you from medicine to banking, from cyberspace to outer space, from history to philosophy, from literature to science. You will enter into a service which is service to humanity. Hopefully, many of you will fight for the downtrodden, for the faceless and the voiceless. You will challenge the settled norms of our society. You will give new direction to our country. For many of you will become the young lawyers, the young judicial officers. I'm sure some of you will even become high court judges, and a few, I'm positive, will adorn the Honorable Supreme Court as the honorable judges of the apex court. If you choose eventually to be a litigating lawyer, you'll be master of your own, for a litigant lawyer has no boss, except perhaps his wife. He selects his clients, his briefs, his staff. He thus runs the show all by himself. There are, in fact, myriad job opportunities which have now emerged for the law students, from academics to litigation, from public service to private sector, from working for the NGOs to working for the multinational companies, and working for the law firms, from working for the Indian government to working for the international organizations. Therefore, do not doubt the decision that you have taken. Do not even look back and wonder whether you should reconsider the decision. But as is said in the first Spider-Man movie, with great power comes great responsibility. As you enter the portals of the Symbiosis College, you'll have the opportunity to transform yourself from children to adults, from novice to experts. In order to discharge your responsibilities, you'll have to learn quite a few things. Firstly, to study hard rather than hardly studying. To develop your personality, and by personality, I mean to inculcate a sense of courage, confidence, intelligence, and sharp wit. You will have to imbibe multi-talents and multi-dimensional elements of your psyche. Secondly, you have to develop your character, the character of honesty and integrity, of compassion and kindness, of sensitivity and humanity. You will also have to remember that we are all upholders of law rather than violators of law. For you will become the role model of your family, friends, neighbors, city, and even for the country. Of course, all of us have been rejoiced in our newfound freedom when all of us stepped into the college campus. We were all away from the prying eyes of our parents and from their almost dictatorial control of our lives. But at the same time, be careful as you begin the journey of your life, for there would be allurements and temptations. There would be peer pressures and pressures of circumstances. But your journey should be a progressive one rather than a regressive one. It should be a journey of development rather than degeneration. It should be a journey of pride rather than of shame. So at the appropriate moment, learn to say no to your peers, your friends, to certain circumstances which will come your way. Learn to shun those habits which will take you downhill in your young lives. In fact, during these 5 years, own your talents, your mind, your heart. In the college, you will be taught both the theoretical and the practical aspects of law. Do pick up the practical aspects as well. Participate in debate and moot courts, for they will sharpen your language and your argumentative skills. And as pointed out by Dr. Khan, the most important weapon in the armory of any lawyer or a legal mind is the language. For it is with the language that we communicate and convince. Therefore, like Arjuna of Mahabharata, develop your language skills, develop your logical skills, your rhetoric, your ability to convince others. Develop the ability to argue on both the sides of the issue. And for this, what is essential is to keep an open mind. Get rid of your biases, your prejudices. Do not bring your historical bags to the campus. Let me give you a story from the Zen tales that I'm sure many of you may have read. Once a man went to a Zen master and he asked the master to teach him about life and to teach him about all the philosophies of the world. The master said, "Before I begin my lectures on life and on the philosophies, let me serve you a cup of tea." And so he began pouring a cup of tea for the gentleman. But he would not stop. He kept on pouring the tea. Eventually, the cup of tea started overflowing. So the gentleman was surprised and he asked the Zen master, he said, "Master, what are you doing? Can't you see the cup is overflowing?" He said, "Yes, I can see the cup is overflowing. But the need is that before I pour the tea, you must empty your cups. Therefore, before you enter the portals of this college, all of you must empty your cups of your thoughts, of your biases, of your prejudices. Because the most difficult thing is to unlearn a thing that has already been taught to you. Therefore, I hope when you arrive physically in Hyderabad, you will all bring your empty cups so that learned members of the staff the learned teachers, your friends, your peers would be able to fill up that cup with knowledge, with experience, with joy and happiness. Of course, you'll feel plenty of challenges, both within and without the country. These challenges need not be narrated by any one of us. They're there for us to see and to experience. Your generation will have more difficult issues of gender, issues of nationality, issues of cultures, issues of inclusiveness and exclusiveness, issues of terrors, issues of casteism, issues of corruption. But do not be daunted. For as Thomas Paine once said, it is these times that test the strength of our soul. The present pandemic is a passing phase, but I can also tell you it is also a game changer. While we are all disappointed, we are dismayed, we are shocked by the impact of pandemic, let me tell you as the Chief Justice, it has changed the legal world. The legal world will no longer continue to be what it was pre-March 2020. For technology has finally arrived and is welcomed by the judiciary, by the legal arena, by the legal fraternity. Imagine that today we have the benefit of hearing so many minds, so many persons, so many eminent personalities while you sit in the comfort of your own home. You will also have one day the experience of sitting in your own offices and arguing not only before the high courts, but even before the Honorable Supreme Court. And perhaps many of you or some of you would argue even before the International Court of Justice while sitting in the comfort of your own office in your own city. Lastly, the only advice or suggestion I can give you is please learn to live your dreams. Do not let people put shackles on your imagination or on your dreams. The most important thing in our lives is our own happiness. And let me give you an example, personal as it may be. While I grew up in America and I studied in America, the most fundamental issue before me was, do I leave the shores of America and return back to my own country, which I had left 10 years earlier? Therefore, I would be entering a country which would be unknown, a country of strangers, a country of circumstances that I have never faced in my life. And yet I asked myself only one question. Where does your happiness lie? If the happiness lies in the comforts and the coziness of America, I should have stayed there. But in the heart of heart, I knew that my happiness would lie in my own motherland, in serving my own people, in trying to develop my own country in my own small ways. Therefore, go where your happiness takes you, because it is our duty to build not only our world, but the worlds of others. It is our fundamental duty to look after the needs of not ourselves, but most importantly, the needs of others. In this duration of 5 years that you will spend at Symbiosis Law College, at the end of it, let me remind you what the Chinese say. When the students leave the monasteries, the Buddhist monasteries that they had once upon a time, each student was given 2 candles in each of his hands and told to roam around with these candles to the far nooks and corners of the country. As you would leave 5 years from now, in the year 2025, the college would have put those 2 candles in your hands and would ask you, and we would request you, to go to the nooks and crannies, the dark spots of our vast country, to enlighten the people, to lighten the environment, and to save the country from the dark clouds which have started rising from all the 4 corners. Let me also remind you that in the Buddhist pantheon, there's a beautiful figure, and I consider him better than Buddha himself, and that is the Bodhisattva. Bodhisattva is a person who has the ability to achieve nirvana, like Buddha himself, but he declines. And when he is asked, why do you decline to reach nirvana? His answer is, Give me the strength and give me the opportunity to be born in each cycle of life and death, so that I may look after the suffering, pain, and agony of my people and can redeem them, free them, to liberate them from that pain and agony. As you go through these 5 years of academic studies and hopefully of a lot of extracurricular activities in the college, you'll be surprised how many bodhisattvas you're going to interact with. You will find the bodhisattva in the form of the 4th class staff who will clean your rooms, who will clean your campus, who will give you hygienic conditions. You'll find them in the staff that will serve you your food, and hopefully good food, tasty food. Certainly would not be able to compare to the foods made by your mothers at home, but certainly nutritious food that will keep your stomach and your mind alive. You'll find these beautiful bodhisattvas in your classes, both as your classmates as well as your teachers. You'll find bodhisattvas even in those with whom you will find it very difficult to live even for a second. But when you do come across such persons who make your life very difficult to live, as Dr. Sarfraz Khan just said, thank them. If you have read the book The Alchemist, you will realize the theme of that novel. And the theme of the novel is, it is those who make our lives distressful, who make it difficult, they become our best teachers. But it is those persons who teach us what life is all about. Our parents, our relatives, our friends, our teachers, our friends in the class make our life comfortable. Perhaps they show us the positive side of the life. Perhaps they do not teach us how to live life. It is that terrible teacher who is a hard taskmaster who will expect you to be in the class at 8 o'clock sharp and early, all freshened up and bright and willing to learn. It is the teacher who will ask you to give his assignment on time. It is the friends who will teach you, or the persons in your class, your competitors, who will teach you what life is all about. They will teach you how to compete, how to face difficulties, and as Dr. Khan said, how to face failures. It is these failures that add strength to our character, to our personality. Lastly, let me welcome you to the beautiful city of Hyderabad. Hyderabad happens to be one of the most unique cities you'll come across in India. It is a city of culture, of pluralism, of large vision. It is a historical city that can trace its history back to at least 600 years, if not earlier. You will be surprised to see the cosmopolitan culture of Hyderabad. When I came here, and I came here from Bangalore, I thought Hyderabad could not compete with the beautiful city of Bangalore. All I can say is I was wrong. Hyderabad has elements that Bangalore lacks. Hyderabad has a vision, and it has a dynamism to face the future. Welcome to the city of Hyderabad, and I hope that before you leave the corridors of this college, you will have an opportunity to meet with us in the High Court. I would love to welcome all of you to come and see how the judiciary really functions, to give you a preview, a trailer of what your life would be. It will be my privilege, honor, and pleasure to welcome all of you. I would like to thank Symbiosis for giving me this opportunity to interact with the batch of 2020. Hope and certainly the class of 2025. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Lordship, for your enlightening and encouraging words of wisdom. May I now take this time to introduce our guest of honor for the day, Shri Mr. Jayesh Ranjan, IAS Principal Secretary to Government of Telangana. Mr. Jayesh Ranjan is a member of the Indian Administrative Services of the 1992 batch and was the All India topper of the same, and is presently the Principal Secretary to Government of Telangana. He holds a master's degree in psychology from Delhi University, a degree in business management from the Indian Institute of Management, Calcutta, and a master's in public management from Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy, National University of Singapore. He has also done he has also done multiple short courses in the University of Birmingham GICA Training Institute, Tokyo, London School of Economics, Kennedy School of Government, Harvard University, and Swedish Institute, Stockholm. He was awarded World Bank's Social Capital Visiting in Scholarship in 2002 and the British government's Gurukul Chevening Scholarship in 2005. Sir has been a part of various international consultancy assignments for the World Bank, UNESCAP, SIDATU Project of Mexico, and for other international non-governmental organizations. He is a part of the National Pool of Trainers in Leadership constituted by the Government of India and is involved in training and mentoring newly recruited civil servants. Mr. Ranjan is the Principal Secretary of the Industries of Commerce and Information Technology Departments of the Telangana government. His last few assignments have been in the industrial promotion sector as Commissioner and MD of the Industries Department Secretary in the Tourism Promotion Department and Vice Chairman of the Hyderabad Urban Development Authority, and various rural assignments in different parts of the state for over 12 years, working in diverse sectors like tribal development, natural resources management, poverty alleviation, and other related social development sectors. Mr. Ranjan supports many social, cultural, and charitable causes and is on the boards, advisory committees of the United Way, Hyderabad, Save a Child's Heart Foundation, Young Lives India, Save the Children, Sparsh Hospice, APMAs, ML Jaisalmer Sports Foundation, Hyderabad's 10K Foundation, Vijaya Foundation Trust, Usha Lakshmi Breast Cancer Foundation, LSN Foundation, Tejas Foundation, Magic Bus Hyderabad, Hockey Hyderabad, World Wildlife Fund, the Hyderabad chapter, and the Hyderabad Literary Festival and SPICMICI. May I now request Mr. Ranjan to kindly address the gathering.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ashwarya. Honorable Chief Justice, Sir, Professor Dr. Sarfaraz Ahmad Khan, respected ASG, Mr. Banerjee, Professor Sri Krishna Dev Rao, other dignitaries, faculty members of the Symbiosis Law School, staff members, parents, and most importantly, dear students. Let me also join Honorable CJI, Honorable Chief Justice, in welcoming you to this great city of Hyderabad. I know that you will not be stepping your foot into Hyderabad for some time to come, but I'm confident that it's only a matter of time before you are able to come to Hyderabad and join your classes regularly. And as Honorable CJ said, it will be a pleasure to interact with you face to face as well. This is a very interesting time that you are joining this course. And of course, the pandemic, COVID is a very big reality. In fact, I won't be surprised if later on you will all be called as the COVID batch. But I would like to, I'll speak about COVID, its implications for students and so on and so forth. But before that, I would like to point your attention to another very important context of our times, which is the new education policy. I'm sure all of you are aware that the government of India has released the new education policy. And there's a very strong intent also to implement the policy in both letter and spirit. And of course, the policy has been welcomed by all quarters. So except for one or two components of the policy, for example, the languages that the student has to learn at an early stage. But beyond that, rest of the components of the new education policy have been welcomed by everyone. Those components have been considered to be very path-breaking, very, very progressive. And I'm very sure that since Symbiosis, as it is a very agile institution and always remains on top of its game, I'm very, very confident that much before Government of India requires academic institutions, institutions of higher learning to incorporate those tenets into their teaching learning methodology, Symbiosis would have already thought of and would have already gone ahead with many of those. So this is again a very opportune time. I mean, while there'll be some disruption in your studies, no doubt, but new education policies advent at this point in time is also a very positive and a very optimistic thing. And I would like to share a couple of important features of the new education policy, which will have a very direct bearing on your academic program. And what I'm going to tell is also equally relevant to the faculty, the director, the academic community of the law school. So three things which I would like to highlight in the new education policy. Now, as you know, the reason why there has been a need to bring this new education policy is that the conventional education, of course, it may not be true in an institution like the Symbiosis, but if you look at an average typical academic institution in our country, a college for that matter, the whole emphasis is somehow to pass exams. And the entire teaching is to ensure that students get some basic knowledge which they are able to reproduce in their exams, in their written exams at the end of the year. They get some marks, maybe 50 marks, 40 marks. They pass, they call themselves as educated or a graduate or a postgraduate, when the reality is that that degree is worth really nothing. In fact, Hyderabad is a very big center for employers. Lots of IT companies come and recruit from Hyderabad. Lots of industries come and recruit. And since I look after these two subjects in the government, IT and industries, the employers interact with me regularly. And this is a very common feedback that we recruit students from Telangana, but at the end of the day, we find that they hardly know anything relevant. And we have to spend lots of time and effort and energies and resources in retraining them. So new education policy wants to change all that. The emphasis is not so much on this rote learning, but more applied, application-oriented learning, conceptual understanding of whatever you have been taught. And you demonstrate all that by not waiting till the end year exam, but you write essays, assignments. There are regular ways of assessment. So this is one very fundamental thing. The other very important feature of the new education policy is that they want the policy wants education to be multidisciplinary. So while you are joining a law school, it is expected that you will also study economics, you will study current affairs, you will have some understanding of computers, and so on and so forth. And obviously, there'll be many more options available to students based on their individual tastes and preferences. So this again is something very fascinating. Also, there is lots of emphasis on new education policy on entrepreneurship, on innovation. So while you are attending your colleges and you continue to study what your curriculum requires you to study, but it is also expected that you will pick some problem statements, you will do a deeper dive into those statements, you will come up with products, you will come up with solutions, you will come up with answers to some of those problems, and that will kindle a spirit of innovation, a spirit of entrepreneurship in you. And so that eventually at the end of your course, when you are ready to get into the job market, some of you may choose not to get into an organized sector job, but to become an entrepreneur. So these are some of the features of the new education policy, which I'm sure Symbiosis Law School will take a lead in implementing, so that you become a role model and others look up to you. As a state, we are still waiting for more clarity to come from Government of India. And our Prime Minister also has addressed a few webinars on the new education policy. He has told that some of the basic changes, fundamental changes will roll out only from the session of 2022. But I personally feel that enterprising colleges which already have a tradition of doing things beyond the copybook, they should take the lead. And I expect the faculty and the director of Symbiosis to take that initiative. And I expect all the students also to participate very, very wholeheartedly and make this kind of new generation learning, teaching, etc. a big success. So this is one important context that we should keep in mind, the context of new education policy. But coming back to the pandemic, and the second point which I want to share with you in some ways is also linked with what the new education policy asks us to do, and also is very relevant in our pandemic times. Now, of course, by no means can we say that we have come out of the pandemic. The numbers are still increasing, not just in this country, but rest of the world. Yesterday, as you all know, President Trump himself has been found to be positive. So there is still a huge sense of alarm throughout the world on what's really going on. But I'm very sure that as and when we start the process of recovery, digitalization is going to play a very important role. Honorable Chief Justice Sir also mentioned how the court has adopted technology, how the court has embraced technology, and using digital means, it is able to discharge its functions to without any hindrance, etc. In fact, I'm a part of many other conversations, and in every conversation, people are looking up to digital answers, whichever sector of the economy you may be. As all of us know, some sectors have been disrupted very, very badly, and there is no hope of an immediate recovery at all. Other sectors also have been disrupted and may recover as days go by. But regardless of which sector you are, it could be a sector of economy, it could be a social sector, it could be our day-to-day living. All of us are now going to adopt digital in a very, very big way. And as the IT Secretary of the state, I can tell this with lots of confidence to you that the governments, different kinds of corporate organizations, their associations, IT companies, large ones, mid-scale ones, small ones, startups, each of them is looking at this as the biggest game changer and breakthrough which will come out of this pandemic. But as law student, the point which I want to highlight to you is that this will also throw up lots of very interesting questions of law, lots of very interesting aspects on which the judiciary will be required to take a position or take a stand. Already, I'm sure in the last few months, many of you would have come across news items. Google is getting sued somewhere. There is some big case happening against Facebook somewhere. Somewhere Twitter has been challenged. And in so many other ways also, we find that we don't have clear, well-settled laws and cases to take a very immediate kind of stand. Lots of gray areas are there. And it is also very true. I mean, by very nature, technology is very agile, technology is very adaptive, it evolves at a very, very fast pace. And the ability of us administrators and lawmakers, etc., is to that extent very restricted. We are not able to keep pace with the technology. So how do you ensure that at some point in time, we are able to come out with a basket of laws which take care of course, the interests of these technology companies, the interest of the users, the consumers. Users have various kinds of requirements. They have various kinds of rights. Some of you may be aware that this was the biggest announcement made by our Prime Minister in his Independence Day address. He spoke about the National Digital Health Mission. He mentioned that every citizen in the country, just as all of us have this Aadhaar card, we will also have a health identity, and our health identity will be utilized to deliver multiple kind of healthcare services, including even buying medicines from a drugstore, from a pharmacy. We will have to show our ID, and electronically the records will be updated, billing will be made, and obviously we will we will be delivered those services. But this also has questions of privacy, of confidentiality, because health information is something very private to me. I would not like the whole world to know. So how does one take care of that? In the last few months, actually couple of years rather, there are lots of issues related to third-party usage of private data. So again, people are not really clear on what legal recourse is available. There is, of course, the IT Act, there is the IPC, but which is the exact law under which I can get redress if my information is passed on to a third party without my knowledge, without my consent. Lots of such issues are there related to e-commerce in particular, and of course, to various kind of meta IT or internet solutions like Google, Facebook, etc., which have this inbuilt feature in their algorithm. Similarly, digital payments have gone up very, very significantly. In the early days of COVID, there was also a fear that the currency notes, one should not touch them because there is a risk of infection spreading. And obviously, if you can't use paper currency, then you have to use some other means. And most people have started using digital currencies, digital means rather. But we all know that there is a huge India out there. While you and I will be quite facile in using digital cards and digital tools, but there are huge number of people, literally thousands and millions of people who are becoming first-time users of these kind of digital interface. And some of you may be aware that already for the last 5-6 months, enormous amount of cyber fraud, cyber crimes have started. One very common scam which is going on these days is about the KYC. Someone calls you and asks you all kinds of innocuous questions to begin with, claiming that he's settling your KYC. But in between these questions, he slips a question asking your password. And once you let your password become public, I mean, that is the end of it. So the point is that digitalization push on the one hand is definitely going to happen. This is the reality, whatever we may like otherwise. But the reality is that the whole world will be driven by digitalization. On the second hand, do we have adequate laws? Do we have the means to implement those laws? which are the particular aspects of the digital world which are most vulnerable to misuse or misinterpretation, etc. And as I said, these are not settled questions. So the more we delve deeper into it, the more we practice, the more we experience, we should be able to frame something which tomorrow will be helping all of us, whether we are in India, elsewhere, in settling some of these digital questions. So I'm confident that in the 5 years of your coursework, you will get a chance to study a lot about cyber activities, digitalization activities, and the laws and applications related to these areas. But as I said, the new education policy also encourages you to be innovative in your learning, to take your own initiatives. And this is one area where a lot can be learned, a lot can be studied, and a lot can be contributed also. There is no one person in the world today who can claim that he is the repository of all knowledge about digital laws. And any young brain also working on these ideas, giving suggestions, giving recommendations will be more than welcome. And formally also, as the IT Secretary of the Government of Telangana, I would like to collaborate with Symbiosis Law School in taking up some of these tricky areas and taking the help of the students community in getting some of these ideas concretized. The third and the last thought which I wanted to share with you again relates to pandemic, relates to COVID. Now, as Honorable Chief Justice Sir mentioned, COVID times, particularly the lockdown period, were very, very difficult for a section of society who are literally at the bottom of the pyramid. People who are, daily wage earners, who are the working class people, as we call them typically. They had the worst of their lives during that lockdown period. But at the same time, while of all that unfortunately happened, we also saw something very positive, something very nice, which was a huge outpouring of humanitarian assistance. In Hyderabad and other cities in the country, elsewhere also, hundreds and hundreds of people came to the streets. They contributed money. They made food packets. They stood on the roads where the migrant workers were walking. They assisted them. Some of them facilitated transport, and everyone. I mean, I don't know of. I can hardly think of people who did not support these kind of humanitarian initiatives. And one very important thing is, so I'll take a minute to tell you about something else, which also relates to the point that I'm making. Now, as the IT Secretary, I can tell this to you from an insider's perspective. All of you would know that when the lockdown was started, when the lockdown was announced, IT companies were permitted to work from home. And of course, it is very easy to say that you work from home, but it requires lots of efforts. You have to shift the hardware, all the computers, etc. Software has to be loaded in the hardware. You have to take permissions. Many IT companies in Hyderabad, they have overseas clients, many of whom are very sensitive about the privacy, about the confidentiality. You have to take all the approvals. And all this was happening during the peak of the lockdown. There were lots of mobility restrictions, police barricades and stuff like that. So in Hyderabad, some of you would know that we have the best of the IT companies. The who's who of the IT companies are located in this city. And they have brilliant programmers, brilliant coders, brilliant developers. But most of the IT companies, what they found was that the people, their employees who were the most useful and the most helpful during that crisis time, were not the most brilliant programmers and the brilliant coders, but ordinary employees, many of whom stood up saying that since the company is facing difficulty, I will come out, I'll go to the street, I will take 10 computers and deliver it to my team members. I will run around police stations to get traffic passes, mobility passes, and so on and so forth. And today, now that work from home is quite settled in Hyderabad and elsewhere, the IT companies value these people much more than their brilliant coders and programmers, etc. And let me tell this to you. I'm a part of many other conversations where people are talking about what will be the future of jobs, what will be the future of skills, and everyone is talking about human skills. These skills tomorrow will be rated many more times, many times more than your academic grades, whether you got the director's gold medal or stuff like that. So while it is good to become a good student and keep up with your studies, but what will be valued more in days to come are these personal skills, human skills of empathy, standing out of your way and helping others, becoming a very good team player, and so on and so forth. So the point which I'm trying to make is that Symbiosis actually gives you that opportunity. I have been to your campus many times before, at least 3 times before, as I recall. And every time I go there, I'm told by the directors and others that we have adopted some villages nearby. Our students go there, we do projects. Honorable Chief Justice mentioned about lots of staff. We call them bodhisattvas, who will be there in your campus itself, who will be not people of privilege, who will be serving you. So how can we show empathy, help, and an attitude, a basic mindset of taking interest in their lives and showing concern? And as I said, if you are able to develop that mindset, develop that attitude, develop that skill, that will also stand you in good stead. Apart from the sheer joy that you get when you help others, this will also be very useful in your future career, in your placements, etc. Because, as I said, that is the conversation everyone is having these days. So, with these thoughts, I would like to once again congratulate all of you. I also feel very proud when the director mentioned that of the 10,000 applications, you are the 300 who got the chance to get selected. So obviously, there's something very, very special about all of you. Greetings to all of you. Welcome to Hyderabad, and hope to have a more organized face-to-face organization, face-to-face interaction with all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for being with us here today and for your inspiring and thought-provoking words. May I now request Dr. Srinivas Bandamidi, Assistant Professor and Head, Department of Examination, to kindly felicitate the student achievers for their academic excellence with certificates of merit.
Thank you, Aishwarya. Yeah. Honorable dignitaries, teachers, staff members, and students. It is indeed, it's my privilege to announce the toppers' names. Symbiosis Law School Hyderabad is known for its academic excellence, and our students always strive to excel in academics apart from co-curricular and extracurricular activities. Now, I take this privilege to announce the names of the toppers. Firstly, I announce the names of semester toppers, then I'll move on to batch toppers. From 2019-24 batch, from BA LLB, Ms. Asma Mariam is the topper of semester. The second topper, Miss Kanika Birje. From the same batch, same program, Miss Kanika Birje secured second place in semester 2. Miss Kadali Yuktika Shriya secured third place in batch 2019-24 in BA LLB in semester 2. I announce names from BBA LLB. Mudunuri Jahanni Lahari is the topper of semester from 2019-24 batch BBA LLB program. Ms. Kia Sunchantra secured second place in semester 2 from 2019-24 batch from BBA LLB.
Resu Kaushik Reddy. Mr. Resu Kaushik Reddy secured second place in semester 2 from 2019-24 batch in BBA LLB. Ms. Kusum Reddy from the same batch 2019-24 BBA LLB secured third place in semester 2. These are the students from 2019-23 batch. Now I move on to 2018-23 batch. In fourth semester, BA LLB from batch 2018-23, Ms. Amulya is the topper. She secured first place in semester 4 and she is announced to be the topper of semester. Mr. Vaibhav Supal from 2018-23 batch, BA LLB secured second place in semester 4. Ms. Anubhuti Sharma from 2018-23 batch, BA LLB secured third place in semester 4. These are the BA LLB students from 2018-23 batch. Now we move on to BBA students. Ms. Shreya Gupta is announced to be the topper of batch 2018-23 from BBA LLB in semester 4. She secured first place in this semester. Karthik Bohra secured second place from batch 2018-23 in BBA LLB. Ms. Radhika secured third place from 2018-23 batch BBA LLB in semester 4. Now we move on to 2017-22 batch. In this semester, Mr. Nikhil Reddy is announced to be the topper. He secured the first place from 2017-22 batch in BA LLB. The second topper is Atmakuri Venkata Sai Shivali, who secured second place with a GPA of 9.182 from batch 2017-22 in BA LLB. The third topper is Ms. Romi Kumari from batch 2017-22 BA LLB. She secured third place in semester 6. From BBA LLB, Palak Othwani is announced to be the first topper, the topper of the semester, semester 6, from batch 2017-22 BBA LLB. Ms. Rupal Choya is the second topper from batch 2017-22 BBA LLB. Ms. Namita is the top topper from 2017-22 batch BBA LLB. She secured third place in semester 6. These are all semester toppers. And we move on to 2016-21 batch. We announced Nikita Samadaria is the topper of this 8th semester from batch 2016-21 in BA LLB. Tenzin Nordin is the second topper, the same batch 2016-21 BA LLB. Third topper is Ms. Prasad Shafali Aloki from 2016-21 batch BA LLB. Now we move on to BBA LLB. We announce Ms. Mehra Sakshi Sanjeev as the topper of semester from batch 2016-21 BBA LLB. The second topper is Ms. Devashri Gupta from 2016-21 batch BBA LLB. Third topper, Parwani Madhurita Sunil from 2016-21 batch BBA LLB. From 16-21 batch in program BBA LLB, Bengali Anindita secured third place. She is the third topper. Anushka Rastogi from 2016-21 batch BBA LLB secured third place. Sneha Vemulapalli from 2016-21 batch BBA LLB secured third place. From same batch 2016-21 BBA LLB, Mr. Navneet Dogra secured third place in semester 8. From the same batch, same program, that is 2016-21 BBA LLB, Aditi Srivastava secured third place in semester 8. These are the semester toppers. Now we move on to batch toppers. So the batch topper in 2019, from 2019-24 batch, Asma Mariam from BA LLB. Asma Mariam is from BA LLB. Mr. Resu Kaushik Reddy from BBA LLB. From batch 2018-23, Ms. Anubhuti Sharma is the topper from BA LLB. Ms. Shreya Gupta from 2018-23 batch in BBA LLB is the topper. In batch 2017-22 BA LLB, the topper is Nikhil Reddy Kotakota. From BBA LLB, Palak Othwani is the topper in 2017-22 batch BBA LLB. Now we move on to 2016-21 batch. Nikita Samdaria is the topper of the batch 2016-21 BA LLB. From BBA LLB, Ganguly Shruti Sanjay is the topper of the batch 2016-21 BBA LLB. As far as the final year students are concerned, since results are under scrutiny by the university, very recently we have conducted the end semester examination as per the guidelines of Supreme Court, and we have evaluated, uploaded the marks, but we yet to get results from the university. Due to that reason, we are unable to announce the toppers from 2015-20 batch. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We now have the unveiling of stride. May I now request our dignitaries for the day, Shri Mr. Jayesh Ranjan, Mr. Sandosh Janakiram, Professor Rick Lovkeski, Mr. Vikramjit Banerjee, Professor Dr. Sri Krishna Deva Rao, Professor Dr. Sarfraz Ahmad Khan, and Dr. Anuradha Binuri to kindly unveil the newsletter stride. May I request Mr. Ramesh to kindly display the newsletter on the screen. Stride is the pride newsletter of Symbiosis Law School, Hyderabad. The main objective of this newsletter is to provide specialized information to the outside world about the ongoing activities on a day-to-day basis at our splendid campus. This earnest effort will reach prospective law graduates who might be in search of one of the best to their law graduation, and for parents who wish to meet and introduce our first special guest for the day, Mr. Santosh Janakiram, Senior Partner at Cyril Amarchand Mangaldas. Thank you for being with us here today, sir. Mr. Santosh Janakiram is a partner in and head of Cyril Amarchand Mangaldas' projects group, and previously was a partner in Amarchand and Mangaldas and Suresh A. Shroff and Company, India's largest and foremost law firm. He has worked in AMSS, the firm's Mumbai office since 2001, after his graduation from National Law School of India University, Bangalore. Mr. Janakiram has rich experience in banking, project financing, acquisition financing, structured financing, projects and private equity, and represents lenders in Egypt. He is involved in various development developers whereby has emerged as the preeminent firm in the sector in India. Mr. Janakiram has acted on a number of landmark transactions, including advising the Indian leaders, International Finance Corp Bank, and other national and international financial agencies in the Mundra Ultra Mega Power project, which is the first project to be financed by offshore leaders. He has also advised on various high-yield bond transactions being undertaken by Indian groups. A few of his recent transactions include a group from the Austro Group, 80 Capital in the solar and its to Greenpo, and advising the International Finance Corporation in its largest solar rooftop debt financing transaction with the Azure Group. May I now request Mr. Janakiram to kindly address the gathering.
Thank you, Aishwarya. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So let me begin straight away. Hopefully, I won't take up all the time that you've given me. Dear students, this is an important point of departure in your lives, the beginning of a new journey, one that not just changes the years of your life, but also one that has the potential to make you an agent of change for the country. Do not even ask. Always do what you should for your country. That is your first adage. Let me bring you back to where you stand today. Think of it like a long-haul flight with a layover. In management speak, this is your point of departure. This first flight at law school, landing at the end of your legal education. That is your layover before your next point of departure, the beginning of your professional career. That flight will take you into any journey you choose, be it academics, litigation or arbitration, in-house counsel, pro bono and social causes, or like me, a corporate law firm. There are many things you need to do and learn to prepare for your second flight. And we cannot talk about all of them now. And many of the speakers before and after will guide you on some of these important aspects as well. I want to talk to you and point you in the direction of just one or two things that have helped me in my journey and which I suspect would help you in yours. I don't come from a family of lawyers or have no legal background, but I think these principles and this ethic that I'm going to talk to you about held me in good stead over the last many years. The first thing I want to talk to you about is integrity. What is this and why is this important? C.S. Lewis, the author, once said, integrity is doing the right thing even when no one is watching. Is it just that? To my mind, this is where it begins, but that's not the end of it. In my experience, it is an inner sense of conscience that guides you in being honest, and demonstrates the state of your character and is extrapolated in your thought, values, and indeed actions. It applies to everything you do and everything that is done to you and how you stand at that time. Do not waver, but yet do not be stiff and brittle, and let yourself evolve. It can be told, not taught, and it is up to each of you to imbibe and envelop your actions. It is a bit like gold. There are ornaments which are shining but are merely coated. And then there are the true ornaments made of 24 karat. Which of these are you? Every step you take, every argument, every project you submit, every cause you espouse, do it with integrity and the honesty that goes with it. It will show in your work. Causes are won or lost. Cases are won or lost. But the integrity that you bring to it lives on and will be recognized. Ethical dilemmas will exist in many of these situations. But if you apply the test of integrity to it, you will always end up doing the right thing. Which leads me to the second aspect I want to talk to you about. What is the right thing that you, and how do you go about doing it? The second thing that has helped me and moving forward from integrity is a work ethic. What you are about to set out to do, being a lawyer, is not only about intellect and integrity of thought and action, but also about an abiding work ethic. It is not enough to merely come up with an idea or even stand by an idea. You have to take ownership of thought, completeness, and quality, and ensure that everything you do, every project or thesis you submit, and every subject you read meets the standard you set for yourself. You have to set yourself an ethic and stand by it and follow it in thought and delivery. How do you go about it? Just some pointers again. Do your analysis properly and factor in everything you read and consider. Use the entire spectrum of the law to think through things and innovate. It is the parallels, the analogies, even inventively adapting that will help you in this process. Do not fear thinking laterally. Do not fear thinking, but also bring it down to earth in your work. Everything you do should have a work ethic. It is not just about the law. You will never imbibe this as part of your legal education if you do not imbibe this as part of life itself and how you live it. Learn to learn. What you learn about the law here and what you learn of the law here in law school is merely a strong foundation that lets you ahead. But use it to teach you how to learn all through your life. Not just learn the law as it is simply taught. It is this method, this zeal in wanting to learn and mastering the method of learning that will keep you in good stead. It will help you become a better lawyer and a better person. That's what I look for in a lawyer. The integrity, the work ethic, the zeal, and the learn-to-learn attitude. Your grades are a good starting point. Your studies are a good starting point. But these are the aspects that will carry you through your life. Even today, a day for me feels incomplete if I have not learned something new or helped someone in my own way. I will stop now. Enough lessons for a Saturday morning. And thank you for listening to me. I wish you all the very best on this amazing new journey you are embarking on. And don't forget to have fun in college and law school all along the way. I did. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for being with us here today and for encouraging us to always learn. I now take this time to introduce our second special guest for the day, Professor Rick Klofkeski, the University of Hong Kong. Professor Glovkeski obtained his BA at Wilfrid Laurier University, his LLB at University of Windsor, and his LLM at Cambridge University, England. After practicing law in Canada, mainly in civil litigation, he joined the University of Hong Kong. His primary areas of teaching and research are in tort law, labor and employment law, and teaching and learning in higher education. He has also taught criminal law, contract law, legal system, and medical law. Professor Glovkeski is the editor-in-chief of Hong Kong Law Journal. He is a panel member of the Bar Association Qualification Committee. He was head of the Department of Law from 1996 to 99. He is the author of Tort Law in Hong Kong. He is author and co-editor of Employment Law and Practice in Hong Kong, for which he was awarded jointly with Farzana Aslam the University Research Output Prize in 2011. He was selected for the Award of University Teaching Fellow 2004, the inaugural University of Outstanding Teaching Award in 2008, the inaugural University Distinguished Teaching Award in 2009, the inaugural Hong Kong-wide University Grants Committee Teaching Award in 2011, and the University Distinguished Teaching Award 2015, in recognition of outstanding teaching and his leadership and contributions to the advancement of teaching and learning. May I now request Professor Glovkeski to kindly address the gathering.
Thank you so much. Am I being heard now?
You are, sir.
And am I being seen?
Yes, sir, you are.
Oh, thank you so much. Because I cannot see myself somehow. I have not used the WebEx before, but thank you so much. I am grateful for the invitation. May I begin by commenting or acknowledging the wonderful words of advice and wisdom from the speakers who have spoken so far, the Honorable Chief Justice and the Principal Secretary and the other speakers. It is my honor and pleasure and privilege to be invited to speak to you today on this exciting and important occasion. I want to begin, as the other speakers have done, by expressing my warmest congratulations to all of the students who are in the incoming class and who will be the graduates in 2025. From what I can see from the website, you have survived a rigorous admissions process, and you are indeed to be congratulated. You are now students in a leading law school. I am speaking firsthand when I say that you are part of an elite network of law schools with excellent international connections and strong national resources on which to draw. I say that I'm speaking from firsthand because I had the privilege in 2019 to pay a visit to your campus. I spent 6 days with your teachers and administrators and with some of your students. I was there to conduct teaching and learning workshops focusing on assessment in law learning. And I had the opportunity to mingle with your teachers and with a few of the students and to learn more about your law school and to learn more about the experience that you are about to embark on. For me, it was a very rewarding and enjoyable experience, and you know, the collegiality, the warmth of the teachers, and of course the beautiful campus. I hope that you will have the opportunity before too long to enjoy that campus. It is indeed a wonderful location and campus. What I found during my short time there, 6 days is actually not a short time. I was able to do a lot. Was that the Symbiosis Law School at Hyderabad has in place a very, very strong teacher training, teacher development, faculty development program. I found that the teachers are well versed in innovative methods in teaching law. In particular, I found the teachers to be well ahead of the curve when it comes to e-learning pedagogies. Personally, I learned a lot from your teachers there because I am not one of those persons who's ahead of the curve in that sense. In other words, I would like to say that I think you're in very good hands with the teachers that you have. I would also say, you know, we can hardly talk about, you know, welcoming you to the law school or to the learning experience at this point in history when we know that we are encountering such a different set of circumstances for learning. You may feel hard done by that your entry into post-secondary education into law school is on these terms. But as some of the previous speakers have pointed out or have hinted at, there is a challenge in that. I mean, the whole world is in this situation. The world and life will continue, and we must embrace those challenges and take them as opportunities. And any one of us can do that and can achieve just as much our goals all the same, even in this environment. I would also say that your law school is better equipped than most to adapt to the current conditions. That's partly because of the I think the e-learning advantage that you have, but also because of the situation, that the physical geographical situation that you have at Symbiosis in Hyderabad. It's a residential law school, which is very, very unique worldwide. Most universities have residential parts for students, but not all students can be in residence, and your law school is in the unique position to be able to accommodate all students. But I think because of the campus residence setup, and because that you have such a spacious campus, and also that it's located where it is, not far from a major population center, but nonetheless in a rural setting, I think that you are better positioned than most universities to plan for a return or a gradual return to campus. I hope that will happen. Let me share with you a little bit about our experience here at University of Hong Kong and in the Faculty of Law. We are, a 9 or 10 faculty university with about 15,000 undergraduate students. The university began the semester in September with strictly remote teaching and learning. There were no students on campus at all. We then gradually planned for a partial return to face-to-face teaching, and by last week, we were able to adopt a dual mode or a hybrid mode of teaching. That is, students can opt to stay home, or they can come to campus if they choose and take face-to-face learning. So what this means for the teachers and the students is an additional challenge, but one that we, I think, can take and can cope with. During the past week, we had both face-to-face and simultaneous online Zoom learning. It created some perhaps confusion for some of us at the outset, wondering who our audience was. We have students in the room, we have students on the computers filling up the chat room, we have students posing questions in the classroom. Are they all being heard? By and large, it works. It works, and fortunately, we have IT support to help us do that. And I think at Symbiosis Law School, you're probably better off than we are. You might wonder how students have chosen to do their learning. Interestingly, the majority have chosen to stay home. I'd say the breakdown is about 60% at home and 40% in the class. I think that this reflects student learning the preferences. I think that the students are playing to their strengths. There is something to be said for classroom learning and the interaction that can take place there. In particular, the group learning that can take place when you are face-to-face. But students have been able to work together in groups, using the online methods. And I intend to design much of the rest of the semester in tort law by using groups created online. I guess you might call them breakout groups, in order to facilitate group work, because that is something that we don't want to lose, even when we have to stay isolated. So by and large, it's working, and students are accepting responsibility for their learning. Now, although I did not have the chance to meet many of the students during my visit to Symbiosis Law School in Hyderabad, I did meet a few, but from the pedagogical design and from my interactions with the teachers and my own limited research into the programs that you have at Symbiosis, I would say that the focus is on student-centered learning, and I think that's a good thing. In fact, the elaborate, well-planned induction program that you have been engaging with all week long is an example of that. I've never seen such a an elaborate and comprehensive program for orientation. In fact, I was so impressed that I thought you should already be conferred with some degree credits for having taken this week-long course. I'm sure you've learned a lot. I have expressed my congratulations to you, the students, but I also want to extend my congratulations to your families, to your parents, to your guardians, to your siblings. Admission to the law school is a huge achievement, but I think it's a collaborative achievement as much as it is an individual achievement. And I hope that you bear that in mind and that you acknowledge that and you take the opportunity to thank your parents and your families, who I'm sure are very proud of you at this moment. And I'm sure that you're grateful for their support. Today, and probably throughout the week, you have heard words of wisdom and advice from eminent jurists and legal educators and people who are very achieved in law, in the legal profession. And I'm sure that in the coming days and weeks, you will reflect on some of what you've heard from them. Remember that, like you, they were once law students too, and their experience today that they're sharing with you draws on that initial experience as a law student. So I think that what they have to say should be taken seriously. You should reflect on it. What I would like to say to you or share with you as a teacher is what I would say to my own law students, or what I do say to the incoming law students when they come to my course for the first time as a first-year student. There's just a few pointers that I would make, and you may have the impression that I'm already taking up my lecturer's role here, but I'm not. I really think this bit of advice is important, and I ask my students to take it on board. First of all, try to get to be known by your teachers. Try to get to be known by name and personality. Do not fall into the trap of being an invisible law student who merely works hard for the examinations and perhaps even achieves a reasonable or a good grade. Take advantage of the opportunity that university and that law school offers. And be sure to achieve a well-rounded learning experience. You have classroom learning and you have outside of the classroom learning. You must make connections between the two. Secondly, I want to say to you what I say to my students, which is take responsibility for your own learning. It is really your design and it is really your responsibility. There may be a temptation to say, well, I paid my tuition fees. If my learning doesn't go well, if I'm not successful, the teachers are to blame. Or you might complain at times or feel that you're not getting enough support, or whatever the case may be from time to time. Learning will not be perfect, and it's not intended to be. You should take the opportunity to fill in the gaps, to design your own learning the way that it plays to your strengths. Only you know your strengths and weaknesses when it comes to learning. So take that on board, and I think you will do well. Thirdly, I would suggest, and perhaps this is something that you've heard before, something that's rather axiomatic, and that is prepare well for your classes, whether online or when it comes to it face-to-face on campus. Because only if you are well prepared, I mean, this sounds like simple advice, but somehow it's lost along the way after a few weeks after the semester starts. Only if you prepare well, do the readings, think about it, make your notes, come to class well prepared, will you be able to participate confidently and comfortably in class discussion and debate. You won't feel nervous, you won't feel trapped, you won't feel vulnerable. So it's really important that you prepare. If you prepare, now you've really opened yourself up to the opportunity for full learning. You'll be able to relax, participate, discuss, debate, and this will all go toward developing your legal skills and your knowledge. Now, this is probably my final point, I hope. You have no doubt heard about the importance of lifelong learning and becoming independent learners. But I don't know what your reaction is when you hear those kinds of phrases, but these often present themselves as mere hollow cliches, because we wonder, well, of course, how do you achieve that? I mean, it sounds all very nice, but have we really prepared? Is our learning really designed for that? Now, these need not be cliches. You can actually, through conscious effort, ensure that your learning, your formal classroom learning, and the world around you become connected. But that's up to you to a large degree. There will be some learning design in some of your courses that will require you to make those connections. But by and large, you may find that you are studying the text of the law in order to prepare for the examinations. Well, that's understandable. But if you only prepare for the examinations, then your learning will be deficient as a lawyer and as a law student and as a lawyer and as an intellectual and as a member of society. If your learning is only of use because it allows you to write an examination, then it is not worth much. With some effort, when you are engaging in your formal classroom learning, you can now start to think about how that connects with the issues in the world around you, in particular the social issues, which of course are all around you, whether they have to do with poverty or whether they have to do with discrimination or inclusivity. So make those connections. So when you are reading your law cases, when you are trying to understand the meaning of a case, that's important that you do so that you learn the text of the law, but it's also important that you make the connections. After all, when you graduate and when you become a legal professional, whether as a practicing lawyer or whether as an educator or whether as a government civil servant, you will need to be able to adapt. You will need to be able to apply what your formal learning in real settings. And the best time to get started at learning how to do that is right now while you're in law school. Get going on that from the beginning, and then you will have a great advantage when you finally graduate. Well, I think that is all that I have to say by way of advice, and perhaps it's too much. I know you've had a lot of it throughout the day and throughout the week. I congratulate you again. It is really a momentous achievement that you, and now you have this wonderful future ahead of you, the next 5 years to study, and I'm sure you'll be back at campus before long, and even before that takes place, you can engage in some very meaningful learning. Thank you very much for inviting me today.
Thank you, sir, for taking the time to be here with us today and for your kind words of encouragement. May I now take this time to introduce our next special guest for the day, Mr. Vikramjit Banerjee, Additional Solicitor General of India. Mr. Vikramjit Banerjee graduated from National Law School of India University, Bangalore in the year 1997. He was appointed as the Advocate General for Nagaland in June of 2015 and was designated a senior by the Guwahati High Court in December of 2016. He was then appointed as an Additional Solicitor General in March of 2018. Sir is also a member of the BJP Legal Cell. Mr. Banerjee has co-edited a book in 2008 titled The Truth About Teesta Setalvad. A couple of noteworthy facts about Sir is that he is the youngest among those that were appointed as Additional Solicitor Generals at the Supreme Court of India with him, and also the first National Law University graduate to be elevated to the post of Additional Solicitor General of India. Thank you, sir, for being with us here today. I kindly request you to address the gathering.
Yeah, thank you, Aishwarya. The Honorable Chief Justice, Professors Krishna Rao, Professors Golf-Chesky, my good friend Sarfaraz, Jayesh Ji, and Mr. Janaki Raman. It's a pleasure and a great honor to speak at the valedictory ceremony. And when Sarfaraz actually approached me to speak on this topic, I was a little skeptical. I was skeptical because, what do you advise people who are going to start on their long journey of studying law? It's been, it's a roller coaster ride, and we've all gone through it. There are parts of it which I've loved and which I greatly enjoyed, and there are parts of it which I absolutely and completely, I'll use a strong word, hated. I'm sure it's all going to be the same for all of you who are going to be part of this process. It's the beginning, you're right at the starting point, and it will be, I think, over a period of 5 years, and then possibly your work as a lawyer. You've heard a lot of stories till now about inspiring you as to how to be a better lawyer, but how to be a better human being, how to be the part of an active part of a law school, how best can you get out of the legal education. So in many ways, what I will be saying is taking coal maybe to Newcastle, as they would, as it is said. Now, As a lawyer, so there are two parts in which I want to just make a small, whatever I want to say, just small talk. One is, what does it make to be a good lawyer? And the second is, what do you need to get through the law school? I think these are the two most important things. I think the first thing which you need to take to be a good lawyer is that you should be independent. That's extremely important because in today's world, you will be under a lot of pressure. You will receive pressure from your people in the profession, people of your colleagues, people in your classmates, people, various different clients, sometimes even pressure from the board. And it's extremely important that you be independent and you evaluate what is correct and take your own decisions. It's also extremely important that, we have to, at the end of the day, in today's world, where there are a large number of temptations, to be able to stand up for oneself, to stand up for what one believes in, for one's ethics, and which is extremely key to this profession. And more so now because there is the rewards, if we sort of cut corners, if for our ethics may be great. So you have to actually stand up and be independent and not come under any pressure. That's extremely important. Two is you need flexibility. The nature of the profession that we are in today, the new subjects which are being introduced are extremely new, they are cutting edge, they are very, very different. And as a result, the most important thing that a lawyer requires today is the flexibility, which is key to him being able to comprehend the new world which he is in, as well as being able to interact with these various different clients and issues which he faces every day. We live in a diverse world and we are increasingly living in a very diverse society. India is itself an extremely, again, using the word again, diverse. And as a result, we get to meet when you're in the profession, very variety of people. It's extremely important as a lawyer, whether you be a litigation lawyer or whether you be a lawyer who works in an office drafting documents, that you be flexible within yourself as a person, because that's most important. We get rid of our preconceptions about how we view the world, how we view people, and be flexible in our approaches to whatever we want to do and what our job is, how we want to achieve it. The third, as a lawyer, I think generally we need to work hard. Now, that's everybody would tell us that. When we went to law school, we heard about it so much that, we thought that it was a cliche. It's a cliche, no doubt about it. Working hard is a given in the profession, especially if you're in litigation, because actually there is no beginning, there is no end, it's continuous. And you are, as in litigation, as good or bad as the next day you perform in court. Everybody looks, when they look at from the outside, everybody looks at those 2.5 minutes of glamorous performance, or maybe an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours of those glamorous performance in court, where you seem to be the repository of all information, all knowledge, very articulate. But no one looks into the great amount of homework, the hard work which goes into it. To make that performance, to perform in court for that 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, there has to be a huge amount of homework. And I think as a lawyer, you need to do that hard work to go through that. Another thing as a lawyer, and this I'll advise you as generation today, is that you need to be grounded. You need to be grounded in reality. You need to be grounded and be realistic. You need to be grounded in your own society, because you all study in an extremely, let me put it this way, one of the elite institutions in this country, and not everybody gets the benefit of the wonderful education that you are going to get. So as a result, there is a tendency amongst all of us to sort of believe that we are superior to people around us. We are superior to the lawyers around us. because who we are, because of the benefit of the education that we've had. I would ask you, that doesn't get us, and I would tell you that it doesn't get you anywhere, because at the end of the day, it's arrogance never pays. So what is important is realistic appreciation of oneself, realistic appreciation of the society around us, and being able to interact with the society on an equal level. It's extremely important to be grounded. Allied to this question is empathy. I know that today we live in an extremely cutthroat world. I realize that we live in great competition all the time. I think you are all going to be very, very successful professionals. So being successful professionals is going to require a certain amount of competitiveness. No two ways about that. But in this rat race that we run very regularly, we tend to lose empathy for people. We tend to lose empathy for our colleagues. We tend to lose empathy for people around us, in the society that we live in. As a lawyer, it's extremely important that you don't lose empathy. Sometimes you're going to be pushed into corners, but at the end of the day, as I said, the only person you have to answer to yourself is yourself. Don't get into these big things, these big words that you want to change the society, or lawyers or social engineers. My experience in life is that doesn't work. What works is for yourself, that you have to be empathetic. You have to be able to feel what is wrong, what is right, stand up for what is right. And sometimes, as the Mahabharata says, dharma is shukshma. It is very subtle. What your duty is very subtle, very difficult to grasp. But in the end, it depends upon yourself, and that is something which you will struggle as a lawyer, because as a lawyer, you continuously struggle between doing what is right and doing what is wrong, because we are at the knife edge of this conflict which goes on in our society. So that's extremely important, that you have empathy. You have empathy, you understand your duty, and you sort of realize who you are. The last is something which we can't do anything about. It's just that, as a lawyer, the greatest thing which you will require is luck. No one will tell you that. Everybody says that they do whatever they've achieved by hard work. It's not. It's a great amount of luck. You should have the right breaks. When you get the right breaks, as a lawyer, it's extremely important that you take full advantage of it. To take full advantage of it, to make the most out of the breaks that you will get, the big cases that you may fight, that wonderful case which comes your way, which you will be able to perform in court with. It is extremely important that you be prepared. And that goes back to your hard work. Because if you are prepared to take the maximum advantage, to show yourself the best when you get that break, that is what is going to actually, make you take full advantage of the luck which you're going to get. Because luck is extremely important in the profession. I'm sure it is, like everything in life, it's extremely important that we enjoy that luck. Last, and I don't know whether anyone will ever tell you this, that I think as a lawyer, the most important thing that you have to know is you need an understanding family, because family is extremely important. Your backup structures are extremely important, because at the end of the day, law is an extremely lonely profession. It is a profession which keeps you extremely absorbed in yourself. And it gives you very little time to spend with your near and dear ones, however much you may want to spend. I'll give you an example, a personal example that I've had, as a lawyer in Delhi. I've been 12 years, and 11 years I've had a son. But it's only during the pandemic that I've really been able to spend time with my son to any extent. The reason is obviously because your work takes too much out of you. The dedication, the rigorousness of the profession takes too much of you. But my advice to you is Don't make the mistake which I did. Take time off, spend time with your family. It's extremely, extremely important. Because in the end, however successful you are, however rich you are, however wealthy you become, however greatly acclaimed you may become because of your knowledge and your capabilities, at the end of the day, people around you will be the ones left with you towards the very end. Now coming back to the thing, right, the classes in front of you. How do you get through law school, which you are going to step into? I think the first thing which would help you to go through law school is fortitude. It requires a lot of patience. It's important to have patience. It's important to have patience with one's classmates. It's important to have patience with one's subjects. It's important to have patience with one's teachers, because not everything is perfect. You know, we know that we're spending a lot of money or spending a lot of time to get this wonderful education that you are going to get. Now, it may not be 200% perfect. That's the nature of the beast. That's the nature of any education, because no education, nothing is perfect in the world. So to get that, you require patience. It's going to be the first time when you're going to live outside your family. You're going to live with a lot of various kinds of people from various different backgrounds. You're going to interact with them. You're going to be with them. And that requires a lot of patience. It requires a lot of tolerance. I think that's extremely important, that you learn tolerance at law school. We tend to be triggered. We tend to be upset. We tend to be upset with new ideas. It's extremely important that we be tolerant of however different ideas they may be, however differing they may be from us, but also be ready to engage with people, on a one-to-one level. That's how you see the world. You know, I can give you examples of my experience in law school, where I've spent time discussing issues with people who are completely different from me, and as a result got insight which at some points have changed the way I view the world, also at other times have strengthened the way that I view the world. Sometimes maybe diametrically opposed views, sometimes maybe very similar to me. And this has been my experience whenever I've studied. You know, maybe on short courses across the world, maybe as part of my master's. It's always been that. Whatever, I think ideas should always be welcome. There should not be, I think, it's greatly in vogue, and this I would suggest to you, that ideas which you do not appreciate, which you think maybe even hateful, you shut off those ideas. I am not a person who agrees with that. I said, you know, I always say, however differing you may be from that point of view, it's worth hearing it. And that's what I would say. Be open, hear things out, be patient. 2 is, I think you should enjoy yourself. I think it's extremely important, because you're going to get into a profession which is going to take so much out of you. So law school is the best time that you're going to enjoy yourself. Attend those parties, make your friends, go out and eat at the places. Even if you don't want to go out, stay at home, chat with your friends, interact with your friends, have a good time. It's extremely important that in the law school that you have a good time. The third is, you should be inquisitive. It's extremely important as ask about everything. Don't take anything for granted, however big, whoever important they are, whoever is going to tell you, take nothing for granted. As you know, one of my greatest icons is Swami Vivekananda, and Swami Vivekananda always says, any idea, test it for rationality. You know, it's extremely important. Don't hold people for who they are, icons. No one knows the truth. No one has a monopoly on the truth. The truth itself, as Indian philosophy always says, there is no one truth. Everybody just knows an aspect of the truth. And the truth which you will find for yourself is the truth which works for you. And to that end, you have to be willing to interrogate your ideas, interrogate icons, interrogate whoever speaks to you. Don't take anything for granted. Interrogate them. But do it respectfully, because when we are young, we tend to be disrespectful. There have been numerous incidents, even including mine, where I've been disrespectful to great icons of the legal profession because we were young. You know, youth gives you that arrogance, gives you that impatience. I would only request you that, you have to be both patient, have to be respectful, as well as interrogate the truth. It's extremely, extremely important. One of another things extremely important is to have a sense of humor. I know that you worked very hard to be where you are. I know that you got into one of those top law schools. I know that you have achieved a lot. But nonetheless, I know that there are people whom you work hard. There are people who may not be as educated as you are. There are people who may not be as who wouldn't have studied as much. But learn to laugh at yourself. Learn to be humorous. Don't take yourself seriously. We tend to take your work seriously. Take what you write seriously. Take your job seriously. Take your studies seriously. But do not take yourself seriously. And it's extremely important for us, increasingly today, that we stop taking ourselves seriously. And I would suggest to you, because you're going to face a lot of challenges, not to take yourself seriously. Have a sense of humor, smile, learn to deal with issues. Of course, if things go beyond the point, you have to stand up for what is right, but learn to absorb it as well. It's extremely important. You're going to be at an university, you have to be able to receive new ideas, you have to be able to take everything with a pinch of salt, and that's extremely important. And the last thing I would say is it's extremely important, and I think Sarfaraz I got this from what Sarfaraz said, is that when Sarfaraz said, there are other law schools you may have been interested to get into, and a lot of you may be disappointed that you didn't get into other law schools. But I think that's not true. I think, first of all, you've got into one of the best law schools in the country. Not everybody gets the benefit of the education which you have. And your director was trying to get you all enthused. And I think he set up this wonderful institution, and which is, I think, is you have all the best facilities in the world, and you will have one of the best infrastructure to go ahead. Not all of us, including me, when I studied at the law school I got into 92, had the benefit of that amount of infrastructure. We didn't have the net. We didn't have a lot of things. But it's extremely important that you don't think yourself that you've gone into any law school which is any less than any other. I'm sure Santosh will vouch for it. I can vouch for it. That some of the best students, that are best junior associates that I've had, some of the best students that I've met, does not come from law schools. They come because at the end of the day, as the Buddha said, Atmo Dipo Bhava, as in you are your own light. And what you absorb, the knowledge which you get, what you get out of your education completely depends upon you. So this question of what law school you study, what you study is irrelevant. Of course, infrastructure is relevant, and I think you'll have the benefit of quite a wonderful infrastructure. In law school in 92, we didn't have benefit of that infrastructure. We had to go to Delhi to even consult, to the ILI library to even consult international law books of any repute, the only sort of 3 or 4 textbooks that we had. So you're going to get the wonderful infrastructure. The net is an equalizer like anything, I don't think, which has ever happened in the world before, where you can get access to every book everywhere from around the world. So you are going to be today where you stand is at the threshold of your life and of an education which is going to make your life. It's extremely important that you go in with an open mind. Go free of all prejudices. Go free of all expectations. Be open to ideas. Be open to friends. and most importantly, have a great time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your enlightening words of wisdom and helping us see the importance of empathy and fortitude. May I now take this time to introduce Professor Dr. Sri Krishna Deva Rao, Vice Chancellor, National Law University, Delhi, who is here with us today to deliver the presidential address. Professor Dr. Deva Rao is an eminent teacher and scholar in criminal law and access to justice. He joined as Vice Chancellor of National Law University, Delhi on 24th September 2020. He is the former Vice Chancellor of National Law University, Odisha, from 2014 to September 2020. Professor Rao has been a Fulbright Scholar in the year 2018, and he was invited to visit various universities in the United States of America, where he had the privilege to visit 14 institutions on behalf of the Fulbright Foundation. Professor Rao had the distinction of working with 5 prestigious law universities in India for the past 3 decades: National Law School of India, University, Bangalore; Nalsar University of Law, Hyderabad; Gujarat's National Law University, Gandhinagar; National Law University, Delhi; and National Law University, Odisha. He joined NLU Delhi in the year 2010 as Registrar and Professor of Law. The Land Rights Paralegal Program of Andhra Pradesh State was an offshoot of his course on legal aid and public interest litigation at Nalsar, Hyderabad in 2003. He developed a specialized diploma in paralegal practice at Indira Gandhi National Open University in 2009 during his tenure as director of the School of Law at New Delhi 2007 to 2010. Sir was also the member of National Legal Services Authority Committee in 2018 to design the curriculum for 4 mandatory clinical courses. He was invited to be a visiting fellow at the University of Washington, Seattle in 2012, and yet again in 2013 at School of Oriental and African Studies, SOAS, London. He's been very actively engaged in human rights teaching and research and was sponsored by the NHRC in 1994 to participate in human rights course at International Institute of Human Rights, Strasbourg. And later also interned with the International Committee of Red Cross, Geneva. His major areas of research are in criminal justice administration, where he has contributed to significant research in preventing custodial deaths. The Supreme Court of India borrowed a few of his ideas and observations on custodial deaths in the landmark T.K. Basu case in 1997. His close collaboration with research projects of UKERI, UNDP, Law Commission of India, Ministry of Law and Justice, etc. were very significant. Professor Rao has recently received the highest award in the field of criminology, Kumrappa Reckless Award, for his outstanding contribution in criminal justice education in India by the Indian Society of Criminology, Chennai, in February 2020. It is an honor to have you here with us, sir. May I now request Professor Deva Rao to kindly address the gathering.
Thank you. Honorable Mr. Justice Raghavendra Singh Chauhan ji, Chief Justice, High Court of Telangana; Mr. Jayesh Ranjan, Principal Secretary to Government of Telangana; Mr. Vikramjit Banerjee, Additional Solicitor General of India, who is the first student of National Law School, Bangalore, and the youngest lawyer to become the Additional Solicitor General of India. I hope Vikramjit Banerjee will achieve greater heights in future. Santosh Janakiram, Professor Golcheski, Professor Sarfaraj, Director, Symbiosis Law School, Hyderabad, Dr. Anuradha, and my dear students, members of the faculty and the legal community, and most importantly, dear students and future lawyers of the class 2025 who have recently stepped into the law school to start a 5-year-long journey. It's my privilege and honor to interact with you all. Dr. Sarfaraj Ahmed Khan, I am grateful to you for inviting me to deliver this presidential address. Sarfaraj is an old friend, and we have a lot of affinity as a co-criminal law teachers, and he has a rich and diverse experience. Symbiosis Law School, Hyderabad will benefit out of his rich and diverse experience. I just joined very recently, a week ago, at National Law University, Delhi, and I have not even interacted with my students here. This is my first interaction with the law school students after coming here. I was not sure when Sarfaraj has asked me to address you 3 weeks ago, I was not sure whether destiny will bring me here as Vice Chancellor of NIT Delhi. Dear students, you have heard many legal luminaries. You have heard excellent address by Justice Raghavendra Singh Chauhan, Chief Justice, High Court of Telangana, followed by many people, and including Vikramjit Banerjee. So I'll try to share few things that I have taught my students and learned from them in my 30 years of career in legal academia. But before I do that, I wanted to acknowledge the unprecedented times and circumstances during which you have all started your journey. Our world has substantially altered over the last 6 months. And if and when you go back to some normal, it will still be substantially different than what it was before March 2020. Law is a fascinating and exciting discipline. The lawyering profession shares, along with the doctors, the power to decide on the life and death of another. A large part of life-saving and advocacy skills are required by lawyers, and that will be developed through the experience and the conscious learning in next coming 5 years at the law school, outside the law school, during placements, during your internships, and that's where it really shapes you into a full-blown lawyer and a humane lawyer. If there is any one thing that these past 6 months have shown us, and something that is very important if you want to be a good lawyer, is to listen. Active listening. Engage with the opposing viewpoint. Vikramjit Banerjee was also mentioned about some of these important skills. Make sure that any and all ideas are listened carefully, respectfully. Then discuss. Develop your own viewpoint and even take part if needed. Dissect the ideas, but not the person. Ideas has to be dissected. Develop your own perspective and a viewpoint. Don't be carried away by whoever teach you or whatever you listen from all sides. Make sure all of you are comfortable to respond. Listen, to make statements, and reconsider. Build a place where a person is free to change their mind, to expand their world. I hope you all build an environment where you feel equally comfortable, challenged, and respected. Most importantly, be kind and empathetic. If you all do what you have to do, if you make this place your own, if you force to live up to its own highest aspirations, then you will all belong here. What I am saying is that your law school is not a law school that simply defends what is. Make sure that your law school will always be a law school that fights for what's not to be. Are you able to hear me? Hello? Hello?
Sir, we can hear you, sir.
Yeah. Are you able to hear me?
We can hear you, sir. We can hear you, sir.
Sure. So I'll just share with two stories which are very relevant, which explain about, underscore the changing paradigm of legal education. One is the story of TCS and its impact on legal education. Chandrasekharan, Chairman Tata Sons, sometime in 2019, in his interview with Economic Times, shared the impact of global economic slowdown on Tata Sons. He observed that among the 10 clusters of the Tata Sons, only 5 clusters are giving profit of 5 to 10%. Among these, and TCS contributes to the bulk of the 75% of the profit. TCS story clearly demonstrates the need for new multidisciplinary linkages and partnership in the emerging knowledge economic societies like India. The National Education Policy 2020 also encourages and facilitates multidisciplinary linkages in the legal education, in the higher education in general and the legal education in particular. The legal education and legal practice has to learn from these developments. The information knowledge economy services from accountants, management consultants, risk compliance managers, software engineers will be the major paradigm shift in the coming years. Legal education needs to learn from TCS story, where they are getting 75% only from TCS, and the remaining others they are getting from the other 9 or 8 companies. So that shows how information technology, information communication technology is going to be preparing for the lawyers, and that TCS story is very important when we prepare the students for the new industrial economy. Another story which also mentions about the new paradigm shift in the legal education is the Future of Legal Professional Survey by the Asian International Lawyers Association. This is in the Council of Bars and Law Societies in Europe. The survey finds very surprisingly what are the skills which are required, necessary skills for the lawyers for the future global legal practice. It mentions only 10% of the skills like value, empathy, strategy, communication skills. These constitute only 10% of the skills of a new emerging lawyers. What are the other important skills which are required? Management skills are required. Digital competence is required. Innovative skills are required. Psychological skills are required. Financial and accountability skills are required. Coding, data management, algorithm, monitoring. So that is what the future legal education, maybe in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, is going definitely moving forward this. Lawyering practice, not just confined only to the constitutional law, the fundamental, what we call as a bread and butter courses, but emerging courses, amalgam has to be created, new collaborations has to be created. So therefore, TCS story and the Future of the Legal Professional Survey by AIJA, Council of Bars and Law Societies in Europe, underscore some of these skills. So therefore, the legal education has to provide new skills to prepare them for the global legal practice. As I said, the bulk skills are business-minded 33%, digital competence 29%, management skills 16%, innovative skills 11%, and 11% which constitute values, strategy, and communication skills. I think these we need to look at when we prepare the new curriculum and the interdisciplinary curriculum. Lastly, let me share a few words before I conclude. I have spent my career as a human rights lawyer, and in that capacity I have traveled around. I have learned that in this world, there is a bad news and there is a good news. The bad news is that the suffering is real. It is not just on TV, all over this world. There is human suffering, so real that it hurts to see it closer. But I have learned there is also good news. Lawyers do matter. Good lawyers matter more. One person can make a difference. A team of lawyers can beat anybody, any other interdisciplinary or any other profession. But to make that difference, you need not just only energy, but ideas. Not just excellence, but humanity. Not just theory, but practice. What I teach my students is that excellence without humanity is worthless. That accomplishment without humility is tragic. And when you leave, we want you to think of your law school not just as the place to receive your legal education, but as one of those places where you found your moral compass. To succeed in life, you have to learn one mantra. Only one mantra. Professor Madhav Menon, founder of the Legal Education of India and one of my mentor always used to say, hard work, more hard work. So what is required, only one mantra for all of you is hard work, more hard work, and still more hard work. There is no substitute to hard work in life. These are the words of Professor Madhav Hindan. There is no substitute to hard work in life. 95% perspiration and only 5% inspiration. I'll conclude with memorable words of Mahatma Gandhi and Nelson Mandela, who underscored the foundations of internal factors of a human being, which are applicable to all students also. I quote, honesty, sincerity, simplicity, humility, generosity, absence of vanity, readiness to serve your fellow men, qualities within reach of every soul. What are required for a student, particularly for a law student? Read, speak, write, reflect, ask questions. And that's what we have learned in the law school, that we encourage the students to ask questions. Don't shy. There's nothing like a wrong question. I always say all questions are right. Answers may be wrong. Most of the time answers may be wrong, but you must ask questions. When I studied my entire till my master's LLM in Telugu medium, and in the law, obviously till graduation I studied in the Telugu medium, and the LLB and LLM was the English medium. When I entered into the National Law School, Bangalore in 1990, I was very shy even to speak in English, ask questions. So Professor Meenan told me, if you are shy to ask questions, I think what you should do is start writing the question. When you start writing, you will get clarity. And slowly, I used to sit in the library till midnight 12, and that's how we were able to come up in life. So therefore, please ask questions. And if you feel shy, write the question. If you write the question, you will get more clarity. And another one I wanted to share with you is, I think it's better to prepare your own notes. Sit in the class, whether the offline or online, you listen. Active listening is very important as a future lawyer, and wherever you are, wherever profession you are. So listen, and you can think about in your mind, what are the discussions in the class? It's like a developing writing in a precise language, what is called as a telegraphic language. Put down into your notes, go back, expand, think about, reflect, and if it is necessary, generate more ideas. So I would also request all the teachers of Symbiosis Law School, encourage the dialogue. Don't be a monologue in the class. Inside the class, outside the class, we should spend more time with the students. Enjoy your 5 years fascinating journey in Hyderabad. As Chief Justice said, Hyderabad is a beautiful city. Enjoy Hyderabad biryani, double kamita, Irani chai, and also Usmania biscuit. You know, Karachi is there, not just confined Karachi bakery in Hyderabad, but all over India and all over the world. Best wishes, and use this fascinating opportunity of 5 years. You should start now thinking about, you have a 1 year plan. At least begin with 6 months plan, how you wanted to use this opportunity. I think that is, entire thing is left to you, how you will shape your future life. And also, I think all of you will come back to the legal profession. That's what I always request all my students, that best thing in life is practice before the court. My father-in-law, who is 92 years, who was a senior advocate in the old Andhra Pradesh and now Telangana High Court, he always says, for him is only one profession. Practice before the court. Convince the judge and get a relief. So, Sarfaraz, thank you for giving me this opportunity, and all the best and best wishes to the students. Thank you.
you, sir, for being here with us today, for your kind words of wisdom, and for helping us see that there is no substitute to hard work. I now request Bhavesh to kindly take over.
Thank you, Aishwarya. May I now request Dr. Anvada Benuri, our Deputy Director, ma'am, to kindly propose the vote of thanks. Over to you, ma'am.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, you are.
Good afternoon to one and all present. At the outset, I would like to thank our Honorable Chief Guest, Honorable Justice Raghavendra Singh Chauhan, the Chief Justice of High Court of Telangana, for accepting our invitation and addressing our students. Your thoughts have enlightened our minds and shown us a new path. Thank you very much, Your Honor. Thanks are due to the guest, Sri Jayesh Ranjan, IAS Principal Secretary, Government of Telangana, for sparing his time and sharing his words of wisdom. Next, I would like to thank our special guest, Mr. Santosh Janakiram, Senior Partner, Cyril Amarchand Mangaldas, for sharing his thoughts and enlightening our students with his valuable insights. Professor Rick, sir, I would mention a special thanks for giving the students a clear picture of their behavior, attitude, and their life journey for the next 5 years. Thank you, sir. I would like to thank Vikramjit Banerjee, Additional Solicitor General of India, for his valuable advice. I thank Professor Sri Krishnadeva Rao, Vice Chancellor, National Law University, Delhi, for his presidential address. Thank you, sir. Your address has been telling our students how we should strive towards excellence in their lives. I would like to thank Professor Dr. Sarfraz Ahmad Khan for conducting this induction program successfully and giving an insight for the first year students as to how their life will be at SLSH. I would like to thank Mr. Bhavesh and Ms. Aishwarya for all their efforts in anchoring the entire induction program. My deep sense of appreciation to both of them for their ideas and elegance of explanations of everything. I would also like to extend my thanks to all the faculty members and staff members for their enormous cooperation for conducting this induction program, with special reference to Dr. Pooja and Mrs. Dania for conducting this event very successfully. Our sincere gratitude goes to all the parents and the first year students for their solid support and encouragement throughout the induction program. Thank you one and all.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. May I request one and all to please rise for the national anthem. I also request our IT administrator, Mr. Ramesh, to kindly play the national anthem for us.
भारत
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I request all the fresher students to please stay back for further instructions while the guests leave.